All right. Looks like we are on, although yeah, we're live now. What's going on, guys? I know it's been, a long time since I've done a live stream. I have a few minutes this morning because we are basically wrapping up two pretty awesome licensing opportunities in the syndicate. We have two that are, one of them's for sure probably ending today. We have another one that'll likely maybe be ending today. It maybe a couple more days. We'll see. But as I'm waiting for stems and bounces and finals to get delivered so we can go ahead and send it off to our distribution partners, I wanted to sort of do this. Obviously, as you can see on my screen here, this is a very poor man's version of a, whatever presentation. This is obviously just sort of my rough notes. But this is something that as I've been like coaching and mentoring a lot of producers and musicians, a lot of times I get the sort of, hey, Jesse, I'm feeling demotivated. I'm not feeling, I'm just not feeling encouraged. My creativity is out the window. What's going on? I need some help here. So I'm getting a lot of those kinds of questions and concerns. And usually the first thing I go to before even talking about, well, what kind of music are you making and what's going on with, your strategy for the business and any of that sort of stuff, I like to go right down to the base level of like, how are you treating your body? That's the first thing you should be making sure that you are taking care of. I have found, and I think most of you guys will probably agree with this, that if you neglect your body, and I really just think it's like three main pillars of health, meaning would be sleep, exercise, and diet. So if all three of those are funky and you're not getting good sleep, you're not eating well, and you're not exercising, you really are never going to reach your full potential in anything that you're going to do. And I just really think that there is a sort of mind-body connection, especially for us artists, creative people. We have to have a solid, healthy house, right? Our bodies have to be really, really healthy and taken care of, at least adequately. Okay, you don't have to be a health nut, but at least take care of the basics, or else you're not going to feel very creative or inspired or motivated. And if right now, if you're living off of like caffeine drinks and like Rockstar energies or just coffee, and that's really all the energy you get, or sugar, and then you just end up always crashing and losing your motivation, and then you have to go chase the dragon again and go get more artificial energy to energize yourself. You're going to constantly be stuck in this cycle of just losing motivation and not feeling well no matter what. So the one thing I do want you to get out of this presentation, I'm going to do something a little bit more rehearsed and probably probably like a PowerPoint presentation or something. But I was trying to just really cut down, like, what are the 10 things that I would say you could instantly make your health better? Like, if you just started doing all of these this week, there's no way that you won't feel better. It's guaranteed. Okay, you're going to feel better. Obviously, if you have allergies or you have some sort of sensitivity to anything here, make sure you check with your doctor first before you start radically changing your health regimen. But if you're, struggling with motivation, struggling with getting tracks completed, I know we have that 30-day challenge going on right now. Hopefully you're doing that. I'd like to know if you guys are actually keeping with that. Let me see if I can actually see. Yeah, I can see the chat here, so make sure you guys can see this as well. Let me know if you guys can see that. I just want to make sure that you know what I'll do, man? I will, Demario wants to know if he can download this list. Obviously you can come back and watch this video anytime you want, but what I'll do once I'm done with this video is I'll just copy and paste these and put them underneath the video, so you could just copy and paste them whatever you want. Now, obviously these are my personal recommendations. I'm going to walk through every single one of these, so you guys know why it's included and why I've noticed huge benefits by doing each one of these things. I didn't always do all of these things, but in the last I've been doing music licensing for 10 years, and I would say in the beginning of my career, I wasn't doing most of these. And then as time has gone on, I've just sort of started to do more and more of them. And even just in the last 6 months to a year, I really started cranking up a few of these. I've noticed a huge boost in my productivity now, because you guys know I'm doing a lot of stuff. I have the syndicate, I have my master course, and then I'm also still doing my music licensing obligations for myself, for my clients, which is actually completely separate from what I do with the syndicate for the most part. Sometimes my contacts, the worlds collide, but for the most part, my personal contacts that I work with, I just keep working with them, and I've brought on new distribution partners for the syndicate because I know we have lots of talented people in there ready to crank out some great music and learn how to get their tracks up to that level. So I have a lot of stuff, including a whole separate business where I'm now starting helping people with anxiety and panic attacks, because I personally have dealt with those myself. So I have a lot of stuff going on, and I couldn't do any of it without these 10 principles of health, essentially. Okay, that's how important these things are. If I don't take care of these things, I can't do anything else. Okay, I can't run a business. I let alone couldn't be doing music licensing. No way. I know that I would have hit some burnout, and I never would have been able to succeed in the long run. So this stuff is crucial. This is absolutely stuff you got to put into place, and you got to sort of try out one at a time. You know, maybe not try all of these at once. If all of these are like new to you and you don't do any of these, okay, let's not overwhelm ourselves. The important thing, if you want to start improving your health, is you don't want to do things that are not going to stick in the long run. Okay, so if you've ever tried a diet, or you've ever tried an exercise regimen that's completely different from what you're used to, you probably didn't stick with it because it was way too different from what you were usually doing. And most of the time, habit comes back, and you just sort of fall back into what was comfortable before. So you can do these a little at a time. It's better to make small adjustments every day than trying to do this massive, huge 180 of your entire life overnight. It's just not going to work. I'll be honest with you. That's actually the stupid way to do it. Don't do it. Okay, so if all of these are new to you, don't try to do all of these at once. Do one at a time, and try to make even if you can't get all the way to them, try to make small adjustments to them, and even as small as you possibly can, so that it's like, that's not a big shift in my life. That's a small little thing, and I can do that tomorrow and next week and in 3 weeks and in 3 months and in 3 years. It takes about, I think, 2 to 3 weeks for a new behavior to become a habit. So if you can make something a small enough change and stick with it for about 2 to 3 weeks, you'll start just automatically doing it and not even thinking about it. And that's great. And you'll start to make health your sort of standard behavior, right? It's your habitual behavior. It's just having healthy habits. So that's really what this is all about. So okay, so let's see. Number 1, go to bed before 9 p.m., wake up at 5:30 a.m. A lot of producers and musicians are night owls, and they love to work late, and they're creative late. And I understand this might not work for some of you guys, but I'm just telling you myself, I used to be somebody that would stay up till 1, 2 a.m. every single night, wake up at, I don't know, maybe 8, 9 a.m. And I always felt groggy. And I always felt that for myself, after 10 p.m., I wasn't being very productive. I mean, I could get some stuff done. If there was a tight deadline, I could. But after 10 p.m., I really was just kind of watching YouTube and just, I don't know, not really doing much productivity. Okay, I was just kind of killing time. I wasn't tired enough to go to bed, so I was just sort of like filling up a couple of hours with just whatever. Okay, and it wasn't really very productive use of time. In the last year, 2 years, I've started to try to actually shut off all electronics, TV, anything that I'm doing by 8 p.m. actually, and basically start the process of going to bed, preparing myself to go to bed so that I can actually be asleep before 9 p.m. Now, this might seem crazy to you. This is like what your grandma and grandpa do. But I'm telling you, there's something about getting in sort of like the natural cycle of the sun, because that's kind of what our bodies are tuned to. When the sun goes down, the visuals go down. We can't see so much about what's going on out there. So that's normally a good sign for us to kind of hunker down and go to bed. And the sun, usually rises around 6:30, sometimes later. I like to get up by 5:30. Sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 4:45. But if you can try to strive to get up by 5:30 a.m., and I know the first day it's going to hurt. Probably the first couple days this is really going to hurt. And again, if you can't get to bed by 9, like let's say right now you're going to bed by midnight, try to push it to 11 p.m. Okay, like I said, you don't have to go all the way to 9 p.m. overnight. Try to just gradually push that back a little bit. And try to get yourself more in cycle with what the sun is doing. I don't know what it is. There's probably better people that can explain the science behind that, but I have just noticed, especially waking up early, from 5:30 a.m. to like 11 or 12 noon, I am a rock star. I can't not get everything done that I need to get done. It's like impossible to be lazy for me. That's literally what I've noticed waking up this early. So if you need, especially for those of you that have a day job, let's say you go to work like at 8 or 9 a.m., waking up at 5:30 gives you like an hour, 2 hours of productivity time. You can go get started on a track. You can at least start a track, right? So then maybe when you get home, because you're excited about what you started, it gives you that energy to get through your day. And when you get home at 5:30 p.m. or 6, you can finish what you started. So getting to bed early, waking up early, I highly, highly endorse that. Yeah, if you guys have questions, just go ahead and post them in the chat. I'm definitely checking out the chat now. But I'm just going to try to stick to the questions that are about this health. If you guys can just keep it on topic of what we're talking about. So number 2, get a white noise machine, a sleep mask, or sleep aid supplements. Okay, so I recommend, melatonin, magnesium. There's a lot of stuff you can do for sleep. Obviously, I do recommend you go the natural route. I know they have those ones like at Walgreens or Rite Aid that are just these sleep aids that have probably more melatonin. I like because your brain already produces melatonin to help you go to sleep. It's a natural. I guess it's a hormone, I think. But you want to supplement things that your body's kind of already naturally creating. At least my philosophy is always that your body usually can take care of itself. But sometimes if you're lacking in certain, especially for this trying to adjust this, the second one really will help you with that first one, helping you get to bed a little bit earlier. If you take a sleep aid, a natural one, it can help you get a little bit more, tired. And another thing is obviously, get off of your phone. By 8 p.m., try to stop gluing yourself to these like bright LED blue lights that are coming into your eyes. That really doesn't help you go to bed. There's this really cool function on the iPhone. I think in other phones they have it too, where you can actually at night start. It's called like night mode or something, and it actually kind of starts to turn your screen yellow, like an orange yellow tint. So what that does is it starts blocking out some of the blue colors. Usually you go outside when you see blue around, that means you got a blue sky. That means it's time to be up and alert and awake. So when you have all this artificial blue light coming at you while you're looking at screens, it's sending your body these mixed signals because your body feels tired because it's kind of dark outside, but then you have all this blue coming at you, so you're kind of not able to go to sleep because of that. So trying to sort of minimize your screen time, an hour before you go to bed, probably 2 hours is even better, but at least an hour is a good way to do it. And these are some other ways you can obviously help yourself get to sleep, stay asleep. White noise machines help block out if you're like on a noisy street or you got cars going by or whatever, a barking dog. You can just put these things on, and white noise machine just sort of like filters out everything around you. Earplugs are great too. Sleep mask if you don't have a dark room. If you do have an ability to get some really dark curtains, get a really dark room. Okay, you don't want any lights in there, especially if you have also LED lights blinking or shining anywhere. Like if you have any sort of electronics in your room, go get some black electric tape all those things up. You don't want that kind of light coming at you. That could actually, even though it doesn't wake you up, it can actually interrupt your sort of deep cycle sleep. You can actually be sleeping really poorly. Even though you're asleep, it can actually still interrupt and ruin the sort of rest you should be getting. So this is the kind of stuff you got to really invest in your sleep. All right. Don't use an alarm to wake up. Or if you have to use one, use a slow, gradual one. There's tons of apps on your phone. You can go find one where they have it takes 5 minutes for a really quiet, soft sound to slowly rise up. Or there's a lot of other ones you can do. They're just creative alarms. But if you're using an alarm right now that's or even if it's a nice sound but it's just loud and it comes out of nowhere, what it could be doing, and it's probably done this to you already, is you could be in a deep part of your sleep, right? You sleep in cycles. Sometimes you're in a really deep, relaxed state. Sometimes you're in a more of a lighter state. If you get woken up while you're in that deep state, that's deep cycle of your sleep, that feeling where you feel like like a truck just hit you in the face, and you're so tired and so groggy, and you can't summon the energy to get out of bed. That's the wrong way to wake up. You don't want to wake up like that, because you will just all day long be just slightly dragging, okay? Tiny amounts of that, but you will feel the sort of drag on you the entire day. Try to train your body to let itself wake you up when it's at the lightest part of its cycle. I haven't used an alarm for years. Your body actually can become it can create its own biological alarm clock. So if you want to train yourself, then here's what you do: is you sort of download one of these apps that have these slow, gradual ones. You just type in I don't know, alarm or training alarm. I don't know. You can type in a whole bunch of stuff in the app stores and you'll find one. Try to look whatever time you got to get up, and I recommend 5:30 a.m. Try to set it for that and slowly, train yourself to start waking up around that time. Eventually, your body will just wake you up. And what happens is your body starts getting into its own natural rhythm. So it'll put you in a more lighter state of sleep, right? A lighter cycle. And when 5:30 rolls around, bop, you just, gradually and naturally wake up. And it doesn't feel like a semi-truck just hit you. It feels like you are energized and you're ready to go, and you can just hop out of bed. Which actually, there was another thing I maybe should have put here is don't ever snooze. Never hit the snooze button, okay? I know sometimes When you feel that like truck hitting you in the face, you're like, just give me 5 more minutes, or even 30 minutes, or whatever you feel. It never works. It's never going to make you feel more rested. The best thing you could do, deal with it, suffer through the fact that you feel very tired. Just get yourself out of bed and go right into a shower. That's what I recommend to do. You're not going to be getting your rest. You're not going to be feeling like you'll feel more refreshed by sleeping in more. Usually you're just going to make the problem worse by laying in bed more. So just accept the fact, take the L basically. I lost this battle. I'm not going to be getting the rest that I want. I'm just going to get up, go take a shower, wake myself up, go get a cup of coffee, whatever it is, your morning ritual that helps you sort of get yourself moving. Just do it. Don't hit the snooze button. Now, this is one I've been really taking more seriously, just even in the last 2 months or so. Maybe for a couple of years on the sugar, but really the carbs, I've been really cutting those out. Try to cut out as many carbs and sugars as you possibly can, okay? And I'm talking about like processed sugars, corn syrup, candy bars, sodas, that kind of sugar, okay? So, fruit, maybe fruit is not like, apple or a banana. Those are not terrible because they also come with the fiber that help your body process that sugar. But I still think you should even reduce some of your fruit intake as well. Sugar, what it does, obviously, you guys have felt the sugar rush. You get all excited, you feel energetic, and then the crash happens, right? And you get into this cycle. The whole point of these 10 sort of strategies that I have here is to sort of help you maintain consistent energy throughout your day, right? That's how you're going to be able to keep up with the productivity of building up your catalog. Remember, that's what this is all about, okay? I'm not trying to become a health channel here. This is the stuff that you have to take care of if you want to make a full-time music licensing, or with just music in general. Your health has to be here. And if you don't, relationship problems come in, your emotions start to take over, your energy goes down, your motivation goes out the window, and then you're wondering, well, maybe I had a bad strategy. Probably not. You probably had a great strategy. You just weren't taking care of the fundamentals here. And carbs, obviously, I'm kind of talking about bread, unfortunately. And this is one of those things where people are like, okay, I'm off the train. No, I'm not doing this thing. I know this is a hard one for me too, just to cut out essentially a lot of the delicious bread items that I loved eating all the time, but really trying to replace that. I've been experimenting in the last couple of weeks with the keto diet, and I am loving it. So I'm not going to get into what that is. Just go on YouTube, type in keto, Keto. It's basically a high-fat diet. And it really rewired my thinking about fat. I used to think that you shouldn't eat a lot of fat because it would make you fat, but that's not really exactly how it works. So, but I don't understand it even well enough to explain it. So go find, there's plenty of more qualified people on YouTube that can tell you. And there's some awesome recipes. The fun part about it is trying new recipes out and trying, like even yesterday I made a pizza with no carbs in it. And it was made out of, the crust was like cream cheese, I think pork rinds. You would never guess all of these things would go together, and you're thinking probably now like, man, that sounds fattening. How's that going to work? I've been losing weight on this diet, okay? I haven't really been intentionally trying to. I just wanted to give it a shot, but actually you lose weight even though you're eating a lot of fatty foods. So it's really cool, and it's actually a way that I've been able to kick the sugar and kick the carbs fairly easily, okay? I have not really felt this pull, this like sort of real heavy temptation for sugar and carbs. And a lot of times if you want to kick something out of your diet, or you're trying to get rid of something, your willpower usually isn't strong enough. It's not going to be strong enough for that addiction part of the brain that really wants those things. So what you're going to have to do is sort of distract your brain with a new thing that you can get really excited about, or even addicted to, right? So if you can replace the bad habits with a good habit that you're excited about, that's how you're going to make it stick. So hopefully, even just looking at these things, you get excited and motivated to maybe try something new, and thinking about your future life as a full-time music producer, okay? That can be the new addiction that you have. Addiction, I don't mean it in a negative way, but the thing that you get obsessed with, so that all of the other temptations to, stay up really late, or, eat bad, eat poorly, those kind of start of, they don't seem so tempting anymore, because now you have this other temptation of living a better life, being more productive, getting closer to full-time income. Taz says, ain't nobody waking up at no 6:30 a.m. That's what made me click on the live real quick. That's also why I did this kind of fairly early. But I understand it. It's tricky waking up early, but trust me, the more you do it, the easier it gets, and the more you're going to look back on wow, how much time you're wasting. I mean, that's another thing. When you wake up a little bit earlier than most people, you're actually getting a little more life than most people. So it actually does literally extend your life because you're actually more conscious, more hours of the day. So it's a really good thing to do. Now, next, let's say make a veggie smoothie every day. Now you can do this however you want to. I don't recommend juicing though. Okay, a lot of people are into this juicing thing where they're cramming, whatever, celery and cucumbers down this thing and throwing away all the fiber, right? And all the sort of the substance and just drinking the juice of the vegetables and the fruits. Not a good idea. I don't think that's a good idea. I think you need those fibers. I think they help you digest what comes with those vegetables and fruits. That's how they are grown in the ground, okay? So a cucumber doesn't come out of the ground as just liquid. If it did, that's probably how you should take it. It's just liquid. But a cucumber came out of the ground with its, shell, with its casing, with its, interior fibers and all that stuff. So I do think what you do is you just get a regular blender, $20-$30 from Walmart. You don't have to get an expensive one as long as it blends. You don't have to get like the Blend Tech or the $1,000 ones. Don't do that. If you want to, go for it. I have a cheap one from Walmart and it works great. And I basically throw in kale, I throw in cucumbers, I throw in apples, maybe a banana. I will do celery. What else do I do? You can do anything. Literally, you can just throw in anything. Any veggie that you probably don't really like eating, that's a good way, and it's really good for you, like those real green leafy ones. Kale is pretty much the go-to one. If you just throw kale in your smoothie and probably maybe a kale and a banana, you're gonna feel way better just by having that into your diet every single day. Okay, and then obviously you just put in maybe almond milk, coconut milk, regular milk, whatever you want to do. Don't do fruit juice. Okay, do not put apple juice, orange juice, anything like that. That would be falling into the sugars. Okay, so the reason it's just like juicing, right? So when you have apple juice or orange juice, what you're doing is essentially gulping down 4 or 5 oranges without any of the fiber to help your body process all that sugar it just got. Okay, that's going to lead to sugar rushes and sugar crashes, and obviously lead to creating actually more fat in your body. So if you can stay away from the fruit juices, recommend that. Just go with like I said, I love coconut milk. For me is delicious. Some people think it's a little bit too watery. If you want something a little bit more substantive, try almond milk. Almond milk has a little bit more thickness to it, so it kind of really reminds you more of regular milk. That's what I like. But yeah, just throw something in there, blend it up, have one of those every day. Okay. And actually, I'm going through this now. I'm realizing there's actually some other intermittent fasting is another thing. So I'm glad that I'm doing this sort of run through first. And when I do my sort of final presentation, I'll probably include intermittent fasting because that's another thing that I do that really, really helps. Take supplements. Okay, so in case you guys aren't aware, the food that you're eating right now is about 25 to 50% watered down in terms of its nutrient supply compared to like the 1970s. So there's been plenty of studies on the food that we used to get from the grocery store in the 70s to what we're getting now, and you're getting ripped off essentially. You're getting about 50% of the nutrients that we used to get. This is due to soil depletion. So if you keep growing crops in the same soil, you lose the nutrients, all the minerals, all the things that are in that soil. It keeps getting taken out, and they don't necessarily put that nutrient stuff back into the soil. So you're just getting, you might be getting another tomato, but this tomato is just a little bit more empty in terms of its nutrients than the last seasons, and so on and so forth. You stack up enough of these generations, you take out enough nutrients of the soil, there you go. You're basically, the way that I see it is that, like, imagine putting gas in your car that's been 50% watered down. How great is your car going to run, right? Doesn't matter what else, you got your oil changed, you have a brand new motor, you have all this, you have that, but what you're fueling it with is crap. And so how is that car going to run? It's not going to run, right? What are you doing to your body? Like, if you're not supplementing your diet, you're getting the 50% watered down gas, the fuel, into your body. How are you going to feel great on that, right? Not to mention, even if you're eating, and I'm talking about, like, even if you go to, like, I don't know, Whole Foods and get all the most organic and everything, even that food is not giving us what it used to give us. So if you're not supplementing your body with what it needs, you're never going to be optimal. Okay, your life will never be where it could possibly be if you're running on 50% of the fuel that your body requires. Okay, you might feel full, but that doesn't mean that your organs and your system and everything going on in your body got what it needed. Okay, you might have got what you needed because you're full, but you're not just you're a whole system, right? And you have microbes, you have small organisms in your gut that also need nutrients and stuff like that. And that's all, I'm not going to talk about specific supplements. That will be probably something I'll save for my final one. But if you're not supplementing your diet right now with actual, I mean literally like pills, like literally pills. It's like my hodgepodge pill bottle that has 17 different types of pills that I take. Then you're missing out. You're just not getting what a lot of people are getting. So, all right, now exercising 4 times a week. Okay, so that might seem crazy if you don't exercise at all, but here's the good news. I don't think you should do anything too intense, okay? So I don't mean like you got to start becoming a bodybuilder and start doing deadlifts and become one of those just, gym rats where you live your life in the gym. No. There's actually a lot of studies that show that that's actually not a good thing to do. If you're not a competitive athlete, there's really no reason to be doing these like 4-hour workouts and crazy lifting and like just pushing yourself to failure every single time. If you have your own goals to really bulk up and do whatever, follow your own regimen, follow your own trainer or whatever. But here's the problem with like going crazy at the gym, okay, and working out to the point where you just walk out of there and you can't even lift your arms. Most of the time when you get home, you're so exhausted that you don't have energy to do anything else, right? You just lay on the couch because you're like, well, I worked out great, so I'm not going to do anything else. Well, actually what happens then is you're more lazy for the rest of the day. And if you didn't know this, you actually burn most of your calories not at the gym. The gym is a drop in the bucket. A gym is a small percentage of the amount of calories that your body burns. Your body's just burning calories being alive, just living. Your immune system, your digestive system, sleeping. Everything you do, your body is a natural calorie burner. It has to keep everything running, okay? So you don't have to think that like doing all this crazy amount of exercise is going to help you, whatever your goal is, burn fat, lose weight, gain muscle, whatever that thing is. Now, obviously, gaining muscle has a lot more to do with your diet, putting more protein in there and all that kind of stuff. And lifting weights can definitely do that. But you can lift weights, as I do, and not come out of there just completely destroyed, okay? So, and by the way, if you're just miserable because you think that's what you have to do to like be healthy, you're going to have joint problems. You're going to get older and start realizing you have all these injuries. Your back's going to go out. I have plenty of friends that in their early 20s were just monsters in the gym, went crazy because they thought that's what they wanted to be, really big and buff. They're hitting their mid-30s, late 30s, and they got back problems. They got knee problems. They can't work out as much as they wanted to anymore. Trust me, you will pay for that in the long run, okay? Going way overboard with your workout regimen. You don't have to go that intense. And by the way, if you're not having fun while you go to the gym or whatever your workout, whatever your exercise is, if it's not enjoyable on some level, you're not going to keep doing it, right? This is part of that. If you don't do this at all right now, you have to find some sort of exercise that you love to do. So maybe lifting weights sucks for you and you just hate it. Don't lift weights then, okay? Because you know that in a week or two, you're going to say, I don't like that anyways. You're not going to go, you're not going to keep doing it, and then you'll go back to not exercising. So try out a bunch of different things, right? Go try playing basketball. Go for a walk. I don't know. Try different things. Go swimming. Swimming is a great exercise. Try a bunch of different things and find one that you're like, you know what? I love doing this. I feel great while I do it. I really love the feeling after I get out of there. You shouldn't be feeling exhausted and tired and worn out and also bored while you're doing the exercise, okay? There should be something that really engages you and makes you truly enjoy it. Again, this is about creating a new habit. If it's not fun and not enjoyable, you're not going to go back and try it again. It's just one of those facts of life. And all right, so this is one I've been really doing. The social media part, I've really been cutting out for quite a few years, but the news, that was a big one for me in just the last couple of months. So if you're a news junkie or a social media junkie, try cutting those out, all right? Or if not completely, because again, that might be a hard thing to do altogether, reduce it, okay? So following the news is probably one of the most worthless things you can do in terms of what it does for you, for your productivity and for your motivation. So if you're following the news, I can guarantee you the news you're following is all negative, because that's all that gets sold in the news business is somebody died, somebody's bleeding to death, this is terrible, natural disaster, this is horrible. Don't even get me started on the political news. You guys obviously know how negative both sides are in the political spectrum for the last couple of years. It doesn't matter what you're following. Your news that you're listening to is inundating your mind with pessimism and negativity and horrible heartbreak and fatigue and terror and just awful, awful things, okay? So how are you going to feel optimistic and creative and inspired when all day long you're just getting fed these sort of like cue cards? Hey, this is a terrible thing that happened today in, some small part of Florida way over there that has nothing to do with you. Here's a bomb that went off on the other side of the planet and all these people died, even though you don't know any of them, but it's really terrible. Look at all the gory details, and they're sending you pictures of it. Here's an earthquake that happened and all these people died. You don't know any of them. It doesn't really affect you right here, but oh my gosh, look at all the horrible things that happened with it. What you're doing is you're sort of getting the front row seat to the bad news, and that's what's happening. The analogy that I use is, imagine you had like a clean, pristine, beautiful beach in front of you, and there was one starburst wrapper right in the middle of it all. Now that is litter, and that should be cleaned up because we all like having a nice, clean, pristine beach to visit, right? What the news industry is doing is they're giving you a magnifying glass and going, hey, look at this horrible, horrible trash all over the place. It's an epidemic. There's Starburst wrappers everywhere. Oh my gosh, what a horrible, horrible thing that we have to like look at. Where did this Starburst wrapper come from? Who ate it? Look at all the dirt that's on that. It's kind of silly because if you just zoom out, you go, well, yeah, that's a problem. That is, I don't want to take away from the fact that that is litter and that's something we should clean up. But everything else looks really, really good. We're actually doing okay. That's a discussion for another day. And maybe, equating natural disasters and horrible, things with litter on the beach is not the best analogy, forgive me for that. But there is basically power in what your perception is. So if you're only looking at the negative, the world starts getting darker. You actually think the world is getting unsafe and actually like a terrible place to live. If you were looking actually at the data and the statistics of what's happening in the world, you'd actually be very inspired and optimistic right now because we're actually living in the safest time ever. And it's getting better every single year. You wouldn't know that because that's not going to be a story on the news, okay? CNN, MSNBC, Fox, they're not going to run that story that like life's getting pretty good. They're going to sell you something that's going to get your fight or flight response, your amygdala activated so that you're like, oh, I better find out what all the details are so I can protect myself in case something happens. That's the whole thing with the news. I've been cutting out the news pretty much entirely for the last 2 months because I used to be more of a news junkie, and I am loving my life much more than I was when I was glued to all of that negativity. Just letting go of it and going, okay, yes, I sometimes my fear is like, I want to know what happens. But then like, was I affecting anything with these news stories? Was I doing anything about it? No. All I was doing was, just completely absorbing my mind with negativity. What's that doing for me? What's that doing for the people who are suffering from in the actual story? Nothing. Like literally nothing. It's literally a waste of time. It's such a waste of time, and it's doing more harm than any good. Now, if you're going to go contribute money, you're going to jump on a plane and go help with the relief effort, go for it, right? If that's your calling and that's what you want to do, go do it. But if you're not doing any of those things, what's the point of getting all the gory details of a horrible thing that was so disconnected from you? I remember I think there was a car accident. When was it? I think it was, maybe like a month or two ago. Yeah, it was, and in sort of around where I live, there was a horrible car accident. It was a whole family, and I think all of them actually died. And it was a tragedy, and it was all over the news, and it made this big sort of local kind of buzz. And then the one thing that I was thinking was like, yeah, it is a tragedy, and it's horrible. But it's the story you never see is that like, how many hundreds of thousands of families got home safely that night? 99.9999999, almost all of them, except for one. And it's not meant to take away from the tragedy of that one, but all you ever see is that 0.0000001% of something that happens. That's all you ever know about on the news. You don't have any perspective when you watch the news. The news is a complete filter on reality. And if that's how you're getting informed about the world, no wonder people feel anxious and depressed and like, man, I don't know, it feels unsafe out there, and they don't want to take chances and they don't want to take risks. Of course, that's a natural reaction to like, if this was the filter you were always getting your information about the world from, which was Starburst wrapper, terrible, terrible litter all over the beach. So hopefully that's making sense for you guys. All right, and same thing with social media. I didn't really get too into depth with that, but yeah, social media, a lot of times is very negative. There's some good stuff that happens on social media. There's funny videos, there's inspirational videos, but people are not putting out who they really are on social media. So also, if you're getting you're really interacting with your friends and family through Facebook or something like that, That's not who they really are. And you guys know that. You guys do it yourselves, right? Do you really post all of your negative traits online? No, none of us really do that. When you post something, you're thinking about how will people perceive this? How will it make me look? What does this do to my reputation? These are all calculations everybody's making when they post on social media. So it is not a true, authentic form of sort of portraying oneself. So again, it is a false sort of a reality. Now, sometimes that can be used for good. I don't say it's always used for bad. So sometimes it can bring out your best self in a way, but it's also not always your authentic self. So cutting out, some social media is probably a good idea, because social media is not reality. It is a portrayal of reality. And the more you can spend time in reality, right? And the best thing, especially when it comes to music licensing, your reality is sitting in front of your computer making music, putting your fingers on your keyboard or picking up your guitar. That is reality, okay? Spending more time doing that, less time in front of a sort of filter, a screen, kind of showing you what reality is. Getting more to the fundamentals, the basics of just creating music. That's kind of what this is all about. And let's see, number 9, taking 30 to 60 minute walks outside a few times a week. Fairly simple. Walk outside your door. Hopefully, if you're in a safe neighborhood. If not, try to find a park or something nearby where you can do this. Go outside. Don't walk on a treadmill. Okay, if you can be on the treadmill if you go to the gym or whatever, but this is something you should do outside of the gym. You need to go get some sunshine, some vitamin D on your skin. You need to feel the breeze, hear the birds, right? Get a little bit more connected to the outside world more. We spend way too much time indoors in this modern society. 30 to 60 minutes. The easiest way to do that, put a timer on your watch for 15 minutes. If you only want to do a 30-minute walk, walk outside your door for 15 minutes. When the alarm goes off, just walk back to your house or your apartment or wherever you live, right? Really easy. Same thing with the 60 seconds or 60 minutes. Just do the 30 minutes. You're going to find, and I do recommend that if you're going to listen to something, just listen to like really nice meditative music, probably without lyrics. If you can listen to a song that has no lyrics, that'd be better. Just musical, classical music, or even like, electronic music, whatever. But if it's just more sort of without the human element tied into it, somebody singing something, trying to like shout a message into your ears, it can help you sort of become more contemplative, a little bit more meditative, a little bit more relaxed and in the moment. And I find some of my best thinking, some of my best epiphanies, some of my best just, problem solving thinking comes from these walks that I do all the time. And I like to build it into my chores. So I'll actually go out, like I have a post office that if I have to go mail something out, that'll be part of my routine. It's like, okay, I got to go do a chore anyways. Or if I want to walk to the store to grab some groceries or something, I'll be like, okay, well, I'm going to walk there instead of driving. That'll be my walk, and I'll have a backpack to bring everything back to my house or whatever. So if you can incorporate some of your errands that you have to do anyways into it, better, kill two birds with one stone for sure. And then number 10 is surround yourself with optimistic people, thoughts, and music. So too many people are surrounding themselves with people who don't have an optimistic point of view. They're kind of honestly Debbie Downers. Or most likely what I see is there's the crabs in the bucket mentality going on. So if you're trying to do music licensing right now, you might find yourself surrounded by people that are like, come on, bro. That's a pipe dream. You're not going to do that. Like that's for those like really connected people, and nobody's going to give you a shot. I don't know, best of luck, I guess, or whatever. But they're definitely filling your head with a lot of doubt, and they're not giving you the sort of like you can do it. Absolutely, I believe in you, right? They're not giving you that kind of encouragement. And if you're not getting that kind of encouragement, it is almost impossible to succeed. Like, you have to be surrounded by people that believe in what you're doing. In many ways, you succumb to your social environment. So the people around you in many ways determine your destination. If you have people in your life that are doubting you, don't think you can go that far, don't believe in you, second guess it. I can't tell you to like ditch people or to cut off relationships. That is on you. That is your choice to make. But second guess what that relationship is doing for you. Okay, if they're not helping you get to the point where you want to get in life. Think about if it were reversed. If they were going to go for their passion or their drive or their desire to do something that was a little bit risky, but possible, would you fill their head with doubt? Probably not, right? You'd probably say like, go for it. And how can I help you? How can I encourage you? I think you would do that for them. So if they're not doing that for you, I would second guess that relationship. What is that relationship doing for you? Okay, is it convenience? A lot of times, a lot of people have relationships out of convenience. I know with family, much more complicated. You can't necessarily just break up with a family member. That's not like as simple as it is, obviously. But there are things you can do to obviously maybe minimize, that effect that person might be having on your motivation, okay, and not being surrounded by that so much. And thoughts, I think there's something to this that you only have so much time in the day, which means you have only so many thoughts you can be thinking about in the day. So you should be trying to inject yourself with as much positive motivation and spiritual, whatever it is that helps you stay positive and optimistic about yourself, about the world, about your music. Try to fill your head with that stuff, right? Like if you're essentially, in many ways we don't control our thoughts at all. Our thoughts just come to us. But in some ways we can steer them by reading really cool, interesting books that keep us staying motivated and positive, or whatever, engaging in something that keeps our thoughts in a positive, optimistic, yes, I can do it, yes, I can succeed, yes, I can overcome any challenge that comes at me. If you're filling your head with those kind of thoughts, you just by default, you're going to crowd out all of the self-doubt and all of the nah, don't even try it, it's not going to work out, right? And we have all had those thoughts, those suppressing, demotivating thoughts. So one way to do it is not to just try to eliminate those, but just instead fill up the space in your head with more positive stuff, right? And that includes the people that you are surrounded with. And obviously the music you listen to, try to listen to very positive music that inspires you, uplifts you. And if there's lyrics in the music, make sure the lyrics are something that's not self-loathing, right? Or pity party. I had this problem when I was growing up. A lot of the music I listened to was a lot of oh, poor is me. It was kind of like mental cutting. They just cut their arms oh my God, life is not fair. And that seeps into your subconscious and that becomes a part of your identity. You don't want to have a victim mentality. It won't get you far in life. So try to maybe the first thing you need to do is just kind of evaluate, what do I listen to? What is the message of the music that I'm listening to? Is it empowerment? Is it I can do cool things with my life? I can make the world better? Or is it sort of, oh, woe is me and I got dumped and this is terrible? You really think about what is it that you're listening to. That stuff does seep into your subconscious, especially if you go to bed while listening to music or something like that, which I did. I don't do so much these days, but when I was growing up, I would listen to all this just self-loathing, mental cutting kind of music, and that sinks into your subconscious and can make you feel much more powerless than you actually are. So be careful with that. I do recommend go for music without lyrics, and music that like classical music. I literally don't think you can go wrong with classical music. There could be sad classical music, there can be uplifting, inspirational, triumphant classical music. But classical music, in some ways, for me, it's like a cleansing thing. It really does feel like after all I listen to, modern music and this and that, when I go listen to some classical music, it just completely wipes my palate clean. It makes me feel good. I don't know what it is about it. There's a different quality to classical music. And music was composed in a much different spirit, obviously, back then. And even modern classical music does that as well. But also maybe just finding really cool, EDM, chill music. Chill step music is another one that I go to. It completely helps get me into a Zen moment. It's very uplifting. It makes me wonder. It brings my imagination to life. So the type of music that you listen to makes a huge difference. And I had a video about this where I talked about listening to inspirational and empowering music will actually do wonders for your motivation. It absolutely does. So that's it, guys. That's my sort of rough take here. These are the 10 principles to completely turn around your health. And I'm sure just by watching this video, you already feel healthy. Just having these ideas, thinking about these things and what you can absolutely do. Think about how you felt motivationally before you watched this video, right? You probably feel a lot more inspired and on fire right now. And you haven't done anything yet, right? But now you just have sort of some ideas, something you can do to maybe start sort of switching the direction of your life. And that's really all this is about. There is no place you get to where you're like, all right, I'm healthy now, and that's it. There's no more journey. It's a directional issue, okay? So you're either going in two directions. You're either going towards disease, unhealthiness, and depression, and a lack of motivation and failure, or you're headed towards health. You're headed towards success. You're headed towards trying better. Headed towards trying to do something different than you've ever done. Now, you might not know if any of these are going to work for you, but you know what? It doesn't work. whatever you were doing that was not getting you results, you know that doesn't work. So just stop doing that. That's step one. Got to make a commitment to just stop doing that. Try something new, right? Maybe one of these things don't work for you. Big deal. You're trying something new, right? Maybe the next one will actually work for you, or you'll find some of these actually make a huge difference. The other ones you don't see any difference. Great. Cut out the ones that don't make any difference. Don't worry about that. The ones that make a radical difference, make that a habit. And that's what I hope you guys take from this presentation. So I'm going to go now check more on the submissions. Let me just see if you guys have any last minute questions or anything before I log off here. Demario, write the list down, y'all. Yeah, definitely write it down. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna copy and paste this and put it underneath the videos. You guys can do that if you want to. I want to be a professional producer. This will help me. The rich learn things and do it. Don't ask questions. They do it. I'm seeking my life. Cool, man. Glad you're gonna make that commitment. It's a good way to go. Malfunctious. What is it? Malfunctious. Sayed. I don't know how to pronounce your last name there. You always cut out negative people. Can't handle those vibes. That's good. Got to get back to the remix. Awesome, man. Demario. Cool. All right. Well, it looks like we are. That's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and yeah, stay tuned. I'll have a more in-depth presentation, and I'll probably even break each one of these down into why they're so important, and maybe some other in-depth ideas for how to do it. But I'll copy and paste this, put this into the video. Start doing this stuff, guys. Start taking this into account. Try something on this list and let me know. If you start seeing some difference in your productivity, in your motivation, in your positivity, email me, jesse@syncmymusic.com. I want to know that this stuff actually reaches you guys, all right? So I'm always on this side of the camera, speaking into a camera, into a microphone, but it's always like, I always feel like that connection is incomplete until I hear from one of you. One of you guys reach out and say, Jesse, I just got a contract, or in this case, you're going to be like, hey, Jesse, I'm really feeling more motivated and excited. I'm getting more stuff done. Once I get that from you, then I know, okay, this really did work. This is really a good use of my time. But this, again, this is the fundamentals, guys. Everything else that I teach you is meaningless unless this stuff is taken care of. Who cares if you know how the licensing business works? Who cares if you understand what a licensable track is? If you feel like crap all the time and you don't want to make music, it's just not going to do you any good. You got to get the fundamentals down. All right, I'm back to the syndicate. You guys have a good Sunday, and we will talk soon. Thanks so much for tuning in.